Hello, everybody. Welcome. Really great to have you here today, this morning, or this afternoon, wherever you are connecting from. I'm Lisa Reichert. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Career and Professional Development Lead within the People and Organization Development team, which is part of UC Berkeley People and Culture. And I'm thrilled to introduce today's workshop and speaker. Our focus and title for today's Now Encore series is What Do You Want More of in Your Career and Life? Presented by Claudia Folga. And Claudia is the founder of 4040 Living and a certified leadership and performance coach. She helps founders, leaders, creatives, and athletes hack their mindset through emotional intelligence, building confidence, resilience, and clarity to scale businesses, grow careers, and design lives that feel epic. A former people operations executive in interior design firms and tech startups, Claudia built people operations departments and leadership programs. She scaled teams and successfully exited 2 companies through acquisitions. Claudia has also traveled extensively. And Claudia, welcome. And I would love for you to just share a little bit more about that passion and how it relates to your business name.
Thank you, and hello everyone. I'm excited to do this workshop with you. Um, so I started 4040 about 3 years ago, and the reason for the name of the firm is because I've always had this big, audacious goal to travel to 40 countries and learn 40 new things about life. And it's it was a big goal for me. And the premise of starting this company was to make sure that, when I coach people and when I work with them, they feel like that's actually possible. Like big, audacious goals are possible, and we can all do whatever that 4040 may be for any of you. Um, I was able to do it. It took me about 15 years to travel to 40 countries. And I learned a lot about life, but it's really the impetus of why I started all of this work and why I'm doing it today.
Well, fabulous. Thank you, Claudia. And here to guide us, we thank you for this question and for what you are going to share with us today. So the room is all yours.
All right. Are we ready to get started? I see smiles, some smiles. All right. So what I want you to do is just take a little bit of time and kind of get rid of any of the distractions that you may have right now, whether it's your phone, whether it's any alarms, whether it's anything like that. I want you to feel like this is your time. These next 90 minutes are for you. They're intended to honor you in every way. So if you can eliminate the distractions to be able to honor your time, that would be amazing.
Also, Claudia, excuse me, I also want to share if this will help eliminate like a question mark or any like stress. There will be no breakout activities in today's workshop. So don't worry about that. We're not moving into breakout activities. This is all going to be about self-reflection. And if you want to ask questions or share in the chat, it's optional. So just wanted to share that.
Yep. Okay. So the other thing that I want you to do is start thinking about this is a grounding technique. It's a beautiful way for all of us to kind of come back to our center whenever we're stressed out. And what I would like for all of you to do is look around your room, wherever you may be, and slow yourself down a little bit and use the 5 4 3 2 1 grounding technique. And what I want you to do is look around and see 5 things. Just start looking around in your room, wherever you may be, and just focus on those 5 things. Now do 4 things that you can touch and touch them. Three things you can hear, if you're outside, if you're in your neighborhood, if you're in your house, if you hear the refrigerator, whatever you may hear. Two things you can smell, and one thing you can taste. But I'm sure right now you may not have something available. There you go. The coffee. I love it. So, have any of you done this exercise before? Just raise your hands. You have. This is just such a powerful way, especially when things get very, very stressful, to bring yourself back to reality or to present so that you can actually focus again. Oftentimes, I think our brain hijacks us many, many, many times, and this is one of the things that we'll talk about today. How do we help you stay grounded in the things that are most meaningful for you as you go through your life and your career? One of the things that I want you to think about is that first question that we asked, what do you want more of in life? And what I'll do is I'll read you a manifesto that I created for this workshop. And I want you to just think about some of the things without overthinking about them. So this is not an exercise where you need to use your logic. This is an exercise where you need to hyper focus in on your intuition. So when I ask that question, what initially comes to mind for you? And just write that down for yourself. What do you want more of in life? Don't think about it, just write it down. And once you finish that up, what I want you to do is close your eyes and just listen to my voice. So just get comfy, get comfortable, close your eyes, and I want to read this manifesto to you. This is your life. Define it how you want. Make it epic. Make it about more. More rest to recharge and clear your mind. More trust in your intuition. More time to listen within. More trust in anchoring yourself in what feels true. More trust that you already have the answers you need. More connection with people who feel like you're home, the ones who celebrate your wins, hold space for your struggles, and challenge you to grow. More time in nature, by the ocean, in the forest, near a lake, in the mountains. More choices that reflect your values, and more actions that define your purpose. More travel that opens your mind, more surprises, more serendipity, more adventures that push your limits and make you feel alive, more creativity, more savoring, more music, more time spent playing, more flow, and those moments when time just disappears because you finally feel immersed in what lights you up. More letting go, more owning of who you are and what's deeply meaningful for you, more resilience in the face of life's storms, and a chance to rise again and again. More intention in how you guide your time, your energy, and resources to the things that matter to you the most. More quiet mornings, more rituals that give you space, more gratitude for the small, extraordinary, yet simple moments. More naps, more road trips, more wandering, more excitement towards the unknown, more peace of mind, more time spent with people who inspire you, uplift, and truly see you, more alignment to who you truly are and what makes you feel truly alive. Now open your eyes and write again. Just free write right now. You're not thinking about anything other than what did that spark for you? And Lisa, I think if you want to turn the recording off, I'd love to hear people share a little bit about what they're thinking about. So thank you. One of the things that I think is really also very important to think about is we're oftentimes told that self-awareness will get us far. And I think many of us can read that on Instagram posts, in talks that people do. It's constant self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. Most of us that have been in our careers for a little while have a lot of self-awareness. Most of us that have emotional intelligence have a lot of self-awareness. If I were to ask you a question, do you feel like you have self-awareness? How many of you would say yes? Okay. Yep. So I think that to me is the grounding work. Having self-awareness is important, but it's the grounding work for all of the other things that you need to do to get to clarity, to get to the point where you're starting to live your life the way that you want. The other component after self-awareness is accepting yourself. And what I mean by that is being able to align with your values, understand your strengths and what you're amazing at, and also just embrace those imperfections. I think we're also often told, well, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Tell me what those are. And yes, it's important to do that, but I also think it's important to hyper focus in on those strengths because that is where you can shine and that is where you can push your own um your own goals and what's really critical for you in your life and career forward. Accepting ourselves oftentimes is one of the biggest and challenging things that we have to do in our lives because we have, most of us at least, have a very, very loud inner critic. The third part of it is trusting ourselves. So I think when we go through big life changes, big career transitions, things that we weren't expecting to happen in life. When those things hit us, oftentimes what I see is people start losing trust in themselves. And what I mean by that is being able to make decisions and trusting full-heartedly that those are the right decisions that they're making. In order to be able to get back to that, you have to start doing micro trusts with yourself, whether that's a situation that you are making a decision on, whether it's a leap of faith that you want to do, whether it's a big decision that you have to make. Self-trust starts getting built up again when you start making moves. It's not when you overthink, it's really when you start taking action. Um, and what I also mean by self-trust is it's not this idea that everything's going to go perfectly. It's this idea that no matter what happens, you know you're going to be all right because you're resourceful, because you know how to navigate through things, because you've had enough life experience to know where to go or get help or ask for help or use your resources or whatever that may be. How many of you trust yourselves? Sort of, kind of, a little bit. I think it's good for you to put a pin in that and write down what is preventing that trust for you right now. What's preventing that self-trust? The fourth component of being able to really hack your mindset and live that life that you truly want and get more of in your life is to live your values. How many of you have defined, and if I were to ask you what are your values, you're able to clearly label them and tell me what they are? If you haven't, I would say that that's a really, really good place to start in terms of getting clarity on what you want more of. So, with values, you typically want about 3 to 5 values in your life. I do have an exercise that I'm happy to share with you all if you want that. But essentially, it's thinking about the things that are most meaningful for you, not how you act on a daily basis, but thinking about the things that are most meaningful for you, and then being able to say, are the ways that I act on a daily basis meeting those values? Normally, when people set up their values, those values typically don't change. The ideas behind them may change, but they really stay very, very grounded. I think it's good practice for all of us to know what our values are and what we care deeply about. It helps you make clearer decisions when you're super stressed out and there's no clarity there. It helps you get right back to what's most important to me. Why am I doing this career? Why am I living the way that I am? Why am I approaching this situation through this lens? And oftentimes, if you have your values very clearly aligned, when you're thinking about, for example, 2026, what do you want to accomplish in 26? That becomes so much clearer and it helps you create those goals so much faster. That combination of having your goals and knowing your values makes it so much easier to be able to get to, am I going after what I'm supposed to be going after in my life? And am I aligned to that? And if not, how do I hold myself accountable to it? Um, have any of you done the Gallup Strength Finder? Okay, that's another good place for you to get this resource around what is it that you're really, really great at. It's such a great way to do the work in terms of what your values are too. So it's a great tool to be able to use to define your values. The fifth component of hacking your mindset is building discipline and creating boundaries. So this is another one where I think a lot of us have challenges. This idea of I don't want to say no to people because I'll disappoint them. This idea of, I don't want to say no because I'm definitely going to miss out on opportunities. This idea of, well, if I say no, I'm going to be viewed in a very different light than I want to be viewed. So it's really, really important as you continue to go through your life and career to really know, what are your boundaries? What are the things that you're willing to say yes to and why? And what are the things that you're willing to say no to and why? And be able to own that. The big thing here is consistency. So consistency creates discipline, which helps you create boundaries. But in order to be able to create boundaries, you have to have consistency in the things that you say yes and no to, and clarity as to why you're doing them. I think the other big component is that positive self-talk and quieting the inner critic. This is probably one of the biggest challenges that I have with high achievers. That idea that that inner critic gets very, very loud and they're not able to control it. That idea that when things get overwhelming, the self-critic comes out and it comes out with a lot of force. This is where all of these different tools, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding, being able to do breath work, whether it's box breathing, which is a very simple one to do, whether it's being able for you to be able to do a guided visualization or being able to free write a lot. The other thing that I end up doing myself and my clients, and I try all of this stuff on myself before I say it works for anybody, is if I am unhappy about something or my inner critic is very loud, I record myself on my phone and then I watch it back. And anytime I say that to people, it makes them cringe. They're like, I don't want to do that. It is one of the most powerful tools that you will have when you're upset about something or you don't have clarity around something, is recording your thoughts, not sitting there and organizing your thoughts. It's recording the things that are raw and feel real to you, and then listening back to it. I can tell you with 85% certainty that you will get clarity when you do that. The what's behind the thing that you're upset about, or what's behind the thing that's bothering you. And oftentimes when you do that, it quiets the self-critic. If you do all of these things, so becoming self-aware, then accepting yourself, trusting yourself, living through your values, building disciplines and creating boundaries, quieting the inner critic when that inner critic gets loud, that sharpens your intuition. And so we have been taught, all of you are academics in many different ways. All of us have very professional careers. In professional careers, we're taught to quiet our intuition and to use logic, and then to be able to prove our logic. So that is a very critical way of leading and building an amazing, powerful career. Intuition oftentimes gets quieted, and it is one of the most critical things that you can have as a professional. The question is, how are you able to balance intuition with the logic and not have the logic overtake your mind? And I think it's very, very challenging in these roles that all of us have to be able to do that. I think if you do all of these different things that we're talking about here, that can sharpen your intuition to say, you don't have to say that out loud. My intuition's telling me this. Is my logic aligned to that? And if not, why are they misaligned? What's going on there? Because oftentimes logic can push you into any decision that you want to make. Whatever direction you want to go into, it'll push you and it'll help you build that out. And probably with a lot of data and scientific backing and everything else. But I think if you're misguiding it with quieting or silencing the intuition, oftentimes that's when many of us sort of fall to the decisions that need to be made because they have to be made, not because you want them to be made in that direction. And at the end of it all, this is how you're able to expand that impact in your life and your influence across the board. Any thoughts on this? Is anything popping out for you? Does it make sense? Okay. So the other component that I think is very, very important, everything and anything that we talk about today is amazing or not. And all of the things that we share together, none of these are going to be important if you don't do integration. And integration, and for me as a coach too, it's one of the most challenging things to do, is I have to let control go. And I have to remind people that this whole journey that they're on, all of it has to do with their decision whether they want to integrate or not. Integration essentially means whatever it is that I'm learning or whatever it is that might be sparking something within me is explored further, and then I apply different things to the work that I need to do. I apply different ways of changing my mindset or changing my life circumstances or my career circumstances. I start doing the work to integrate it within the life that I have. I think oftentimes this is where people stop because they get the self-awareness, but then they don't take it further into integration. So the work is all about that, making sure that whatever it is that may have sparked whatever it is within you today, that you take it, you think about it, and then you start applying it gently within your life, even if it's tiny, tiny things throughout the day that you can do for yourself. You don't want to have just another aha moment. That's the big thing. And those happen often, but you got to take it and actually apply it to your life. Any questions or thoughts on that? So here are a few ways to practically integrate the work that, whether it's in this workshop or any other workshops that you all do, or conferences that you attend, or anything in your life that's giving you information, is to pause and notice. So what I mean by that is before reacting, there's this concept I'm sure many of you know of taking those 5 seconds before reacting and just stopping. And it looks just like what I just did. Quick 5 seconds. And then noticing what's going on. One of the challenges I think for me, I work with coaches myself for me. And when I was in tech startups, I was running 100 miles an hour. I was working 70-hour work days, or work weeks. I was nonstop meetings, and then I would do the work at night that I needed to do. And it was the expectation. It was the expectation that everybody had of me. It was the expectation that I had of my team, not to that extreme, but it was there. And I did not stop and notice. And it was always reaction mode. How quickly can I get things done? How much can I get off my plate? Only to wake up again and start doing it all over again. And it's such an easy way to get to burnout for many of us. So I think this work is really about, can I pause and notice what's going on? And my coach looked at me and said, at what point are you going to start listening to what your body is also telling you? Because you can logic your way out of anything, Claudia. You can logic your way through anything, out of anything, et cetera, et cetera. And you're very, very good about that. But at what point are you going to align it with what your body's telling you? Like, and what I mean by that is, how do you feel about something? When something happens, like, what's the first initial reaction that your intuition is telling you? And oftentimes that comes through an uncomfortable feeling, wherever that may be in your body. It may come through panic, it may come through something. Fear might be popping up, but there's always reasons behind that. Um, And I think the big thing with integration is really like we talked about, like being able to have micro experiments. So really trying a tiny shift. Because I think what I also see with people is they'll take a workshop like this or anything else or a retreat that they go on or whatever, and they'll come back and they'll say, I'm a renewed person. I'm going to do this huge, massive thing. And then 30 days later, they stop. What I've seen that consistently works with people is being able to say, I'm going to do these three tiny things for the next week, and I'm going to stick to those three tiny things. Usually, when I want people to have a morning routine, which I'm huge about, I don't start and say to people, you need a 30-minute morning routine. That's the only way that you'll succeed in life. I start with, tell me your life circumstances. I understand that you have kids, you have family, you've got a lot of distractions in the morning, you don't sleep well at night. Your intuition is to pick up your phone and start getting into your email right away. You have a hard time letting the quiet moments be there because it's uncomfortable, whatever those things may be. Then what we do is we design a 5 minute, literally 5 minute morning routine. And that could be I'm going to wake up and not look at my phone for the first 5 minutes. And I'm committing myself to doing that for the next 10 days. And people are like, why would you do that? That's such a waste of time. I think if you were to do something like a micro moment like that, I can guarantee you it's going to change the way you look at things. And that builds self-trust. And then the other big piece is having time to reflect a little bit. I don't think many of us have time to reflect. How many of you have time to reflect on a daily basis? Laura does. Anybody else? Many of us don't because we're going at these massive speeds to get as much as we possibly can accomplished. And it's society, it's our careers, it's all of the expectations, it's living in the Bay Area, all of those different things. And that's reality because that is our life. However, I have also seen when people do a reflective exercise, let's say 5 minutes at night, and you brain dump all of the things that you're thinking about before you go to bed, it's incredibly powerful to get some rest after that and feel like you're in control and have some of it handled at least. There is such power in micro moments, and I've seen it. I've seen people be able to build amazing morning routines over time that are half an hour to an hour long. I've seen people build confidence over time because they started trusting themselves that they didn't break the promises that they made to themselves. So it is incredibly powerful, but that is the point of integration. Okay, let's dive into the work a little bit. So I want you, for the sake of today, to think about 6 different areas of your life. And I want you to do a little bit of writing on that. And what I want you to be able to get out of this is this idea of doing a self-perception, like around what do you think of your life? What do you think about where you are right now in all of these different areas that I'll share with you? What works? What doesn't work and why? And I'll give you about 10 to 15 minutes to ponder on this. And again, when you're thinking about these 6 different elements, the point of it is think about like, are you noticing anything in your body when you're thinking about this very thing? Whether it's finances, career, family, your health, your well-being, your community, and your circle. Is anything prompting any sort of feelings within you? Whether it's an alignment or whether it's a clash to those things and how you're living your daily life around that. So I want you to take a little bit of time to think about these 6 different elements. And then the point of it is to catch the gaps. You're not judging anything. You're not having the self-critic activated. I want you to be an observer of your life for this moment. Just for 10 minutes. That's all you need to do. You don't need to judge it. You don't need to criticize it. Just face it for what it is and be kind to yourself when you do it. Does everybody agree?
Claudia, we had a request. Could you rename those elements and I'll put them in the chat so that people
Yep.
have them?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so these are your six elements. And what I want you to do is I want you to write free flow. So again, let the logic suspend itself for the next hour. Just write free flow, what you're thinking about. So your work, the work that I love doing, building a personal brand, and that doesn't mean that you're in an individual building a brand out there on Instagram. It means what is the perception that you want people to have of you? Your career, your satisfaction in your own role today, advancements of your goals, and growth opportunities. So that's what my work is about. The value that you can get from this, if you look at it, it's professional growth, it's fulfillment, it's meaningful contribution to the work that you do. It's that ability to be an impactful leader. And I don't believe, by the way, that leadership is only for the people that have titles. We're leaders in our own lives every single day of our life. Um, it's having connections within your network. It's having a solid circle of influence. And what I mean by that is the top five people that are within your work. Are those the people that are propping you up and pushing you forward, or are they individuals that are holding you back? When you're thinking about number two, that's your personal growth. And what I mean by that is growing as a person, as a professional, constantly refining your leadership skills, not just in the workspace, but also within your life. Learning new skills. Are you curious? Are you excited about learning something new? What are those things that really light you up and get you excited about learning new things? Are you honing in on your communication development? Those are some of the biggest skills that I think people oftentimes come to me for when they get challenged in life is, am I communicating what I want? Am I communicating my boundaries and my limits, et cetera, et cetera? Um, the third one is your financial health. So, oftentimes for people, if their financial health is not in a safe place, it is absolutely impossible to focus on their personal growth, their circle, their health, or their presence. So, defining what that is for you. How do you define financial health? What does it mean for you? Is it a certain dollar amount? Is it certain things that you need to have for yourself to feel safe? What does that look like? And those are different for every single person in this room. The fourth one is your circle, friendships, partnerships, family, social connections, and your overall involvement in your communities, wherever those may be. The fifth one is your health. So that could be prioritizing physical health, nutrition, mental and emotional wellness. And for many of us, it's living an eco-conscious life. And again, just think about, am I doing what I need to be doing in my life? Again, you're defining this. Nobody else is defining it. Am I doing what I need to be doing in my life to feel like I am satisfactory with that area of my life and that I'm in a good spot? And if not, why not? And it's okay. No judging again. And then finally, your presence. How are you showing up for yourself? How do you treat yourself? Do you treat yourself with respect and kindness? Or do you have the self-critic run your life? Do you allow yourself to be free to express your ideas, to express what you're feeling, or do you bottle it up because you don't want to be judged? Do you have that ability to have deep clarity on your values? And do you live by those deeply and truthfully? And do you understand the parts of yourself and all parts of yourself essentially and know how to manage them with kindness, even if you're not doing the most amazing job that you would like to be doing in one area or of your life or another. So presence is how do you treat yourself? And oftentimes we don't get asked that question. So I want you to be honest with it. So take about 10 minutes and write down your ideas in these 6 different areas of your life: your work, your personal growth, your financial health, your circle, your own health, and how you treat yourself. And we'll come back to that. And if any of you are open to sharing, would love to see some of that. But what are the themes that you're noticing for yourselves? And is there focus missing where you would really like it to be for you? And I think the bigger question would be overall, are you where you want to be in life right now if you were taking this assessment for yourself? Now, with all of this information, what I'd like for you to do is in one sentence, define a successfully fulfilling life. What is your successfully fulfilled life? Nobody else's, no judgment. You're not sharing this with anyone. I want you to define it based on your own terms. 1 or 2 sentences max. So I really want you to take some time tonight, tomorrow, for the remainder of the week to think about this self-perception assessment and just see what comes up for you. Write down ideas as they come up, write down thoughts as they come up. Again, no judgment from you. I think that has to be a commitment that you have for yourself. But just think about like, am I really living the life that I want? And if not, what do I want more of? Also, notice that a lot of these different ideas may come when things get very quiet in life, whether it's at night, whether it's in the middle of the night. Oftentimes, when I work with folks, and we get into this idea of let's tap into the unconsciousness, a lot of different ideas that they may not have expected come out too. So I think, again, this idea of not judging is really important because you don't want to stop the process from happening. And that's really where the integration starts happening. So think about these things. Think about if I were to define a well-fulfilled life today for myself, how would I define it? What do I want? And what is missing from that definition, which is your more? All right. How are you all feeling so far? We're diving in deep. And normally this work usually takes about a month to do, but we're diving in deep. You can comment if you'd like in the chat, but I want to hear how things are going, what questions you may have as they come up for you as we continue to move on. Um, I think the other big thing to think about is oftentimes, there's something that's glaring for you as you think about your self-reflection, and it might be that one thing that you need to focus in on. I think all of that is really important, and I would encourage you to focus on that one big thing. So you highlighted three, right? As we were talking, I would encourage you to choose one that you want to focus on, and that's it. All of these are really important because they all tie together, right? So I have people that come to me often and they say, my stress, I'm so stressed out in my career. I don't have clarity. I don't know how to move forward. And my way of helping people slow down a little bit is tell me what else is going on in your life. And oftentimes the work stuff has nothing to do with the work stuff. It has to do with everything else that they're stressed out about in their life. So I think it's important for you to think about that as well. Is there something that's putting on so much pressure that is driving every other part of your life? Fear, scarcity, like some of you have mentioned, living not to thrive, but to survive, which many of us have to do. Okay. One of the things as you think about all of this that I would love for you to think about, what's the word that comes up in your mind when I say, what's your word for 2026? And please share it in the chat if you'd like. Beautiful. Integration, realignment, restart, inner alignment, expansion, living, self-care, balance, spaciousness, rest, joy. Beautiful. Underneath that word, I want you to write two things that you can commit to today that you are willing to do for the rest of the year to get to that word. And keep in mind, the smaller, the better. And you've got a month and a half, really. The other thing that I oftentimes do with people as they think about reflection is energy givers and energy takers. So I'll give you a fun example. One of my race car driving clients is one of the most fun, beautiful human beings I've ever met. And she's all about befriending everybody. She gives so much energy when she's at the track. She loves to meet people. She loves to have conversations. She loves to be able to talk about the sport and what she's doing and why she's doing it, etc. And when we talked about energy givers and energy takers, and she was not thinking about it or trying to convince herself of anything, what came out of that conversation was, I am so drained by having to say hi to so many people before I race. As much as I love doing it, that energy just gets sucked out of me. And she didn't realize it until she actually said it out loud. So, what is one energy giver in your life? And what's one energy taker in your life? As you think about the self-reflection assessment, as you think about what's deeply meaningful for you, as you think about your word for 2026, I want you to also think about what drains your energy. And are they related? The things that are getting in the way of you getting or wanting more? And what I want to do next is a guided visualization for all of you. So I want you to be able to step back for a minute, to relax for 1 minute, and for you to just sit back, close your eyes, and listen to my voice. And then I will open it up and we can talk, we can answer any questions that you may have that might come up. I'm happy to share whatever questions you may have. How does that sound for everyone? All right. I love seeing that. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so a lot has happened in the course of 45 minutes for all of us. You've done some nice reflective work. It sounds like many of you are being just really open and honest with yourselves about what you need more of. And what I want you to do is just gently close your eyes and just get comfortable wherever you may be seated. And just take a deep breath in and hold it for about 4 seconds and gently release it out. And take another deep breath in. Hold it for 4 seconds and gently release it out. And keep your eyes closed. And imagine you're standing at the edge of a forest path just after sunrise. The light filters through the tall trees. It's golden and soft. The air is cool and clean. And with every breath you take in the scent of cedar and earth. Beneath your feet, the ground feels solid and quietly alive. You start walking. Each step lands with purpose. The sound of the world fades into the background, the emails, the phone calls, the deadlines, and the noise. All you hear now is the rhythm of your own breath and the faint song of birds waking up. The path widens, and ahead you see a clearing. It's a wide open space filled with light. As you step into it, something in you exhales deeply than it has in a long time. You've arrived in a place where there's nothing to prove. There's no expectations, no urgency, just quiet and space. In the center of the clearing is a large, smooth stone. You walk toward it and take a seat. From here, you can see everything clearly: the trees, the sky, the horizon. And this place represents your inner landscape, your values, your energy, your truth, and the things that you talked about today. Take a breath in and ask quietly, what matters the most to me right now? And let whatever words or images come to mind and appear without forcing them. Maybe it's a feeling of peace, connection, or curiosity. Maybe it's a word: trust, freedom, balance, joy. Whatever comes, just let it settle. Now imagine that in front of you, the earth begins to shimmer a little bit, and you see a small pool of water appearing. It's clear, it's still, it's perfectly reflective. This pool shows you where you are aligned and where you are not. Look into the water and notice what feels in flow, where your choices, energy, and values are. And notice one area that feels heavy or disconnected. Don't analyze it, just observe. Let the reflection show you what wants to shift. As you reach down and touch the surface of the water with your fingertips, the ripples spread outward, and you whisper to yourself, I'm ready to live in alignment with what I know is true for me. And stay with that feeling for a moment. In the distance, you notice a gentle path leading out of the clearing. At the beginning of the path lies a small wooden box. You open it and find a key inside. This key represents courage, the part of you that acts when the moment calls for it. Hold the key in your mind's hand and think of one decision you've been postponing. It doesn't need to be big, it just needs to be real for you. And see yourself using that key to open the next door in your life. Take one last look around the clearing, the trees, the still water, the open sky. Everything in this place reminds you of your own capacity to grow, to renew, and return to who you truly are. And when you're ready, take a slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine walking back along the forest path, carrying clarity and courage. And when you're ready, open your eyes. I should have had this photo in front of you all. So this is a picture of a retreat that I did on Mallorca this year. And it is where we did a lot of this guided grounded visualization work that you just experienced. Okay. Um, I want to give you a few minutes to open things up, ask any questions that you may have. This is my contact info. If any of you would like to get in touch, please do. And I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up. And one question that I have for you is, what is the energy taker that you're going to take from this workshop?
Well, Claudia, I am taking just the powerful space and time through your guided facilitation of these questions and yeah, my own opportunity to reflect. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with all of us. And thank you all for being here to take time to reflect on what you want more of. And I did put the evaluation in the chat. If you would take a micro moment and share your feedback, we would really appreciate that. And I'll share that feedback with Claudia as well. And with that, I will stop the recording. And if you'd like to ask any questions or share anything, you can go ahead and do that.